Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Blue Hell Mount Panorama Circuit here in Bathurst, Australia, where racers endure 570 feet of elevation change and concrete walls that line much of this 23-turn, 3.8-mile course. And tonight we're here as season number 23 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by Performa Elite, winds down. It's where our racers will take their Global MX-5 Cup and GR86 Cup cars to this very special circuit in two 30-minute rounds. Rounds 9 and 10 of our 11-round championship. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and joining me in the commentary booth tonight, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod with Lee Thompson in the virtual production truck, bringing you all the great camera angles and action that Apex Racing TV is known for. And so, you know, Larry, 2 weeks ago we were at VIR for the longest race of the season, a 75-minute enduro, and tonight it's two of our shortest at one of the world's toughest road courses. And it's funny because former Trans Am Series champion and Rolex 24 winner Gar Robinson, he once said, if you took Virginia International Raceway and turned it into a street course and then added walls, kangaroos, and Tim Tams, that's Bathurst.
That's a pretty accurate description. I was thinking
Yes.
something on the side of maybe it's like a hill climb at Road America. Like, you know, you get the Motor America straights, and then all of a sudden you got to go climb this one lane drive up this hill. It is a crazy, crazy place. But as one of our drivers in tonight's race had said, either you love it or you extremely hate it. I'm one of those that kind of loves it, I guess. I like it because it races well as long as you're off the mountain. Going up and down the mountain,
It's the other two-thirds.
It is treacherous at every moment. As there's no place to pass, there's a lot of places to kill yourself. So it makes it for very interesting when you've got about 25 cars going up there at the same time, like we're going to have tonight.
Yeah, and we're already taking bets on who's going to take out half the field tonight. So.
I'm not saying names, but somebody's going to do it.
No, and you can see there as Lee is putting up on screen an overview of the Mount Panorama circuit, and I'll tell you, those big bright red lines, they just don't do justice to how tough and how tight and how treacherous things are. Once you get past that turn 10, and there's the section right there. Once you hit Skyline at turn 11 and you start to run down the mountain and you go through the S's and the dipper, and it gets very tight and very twisty, and there's concrete all over the place to keep you from, well, sliding off the mountain. So let's do this, Larry. Why don't we turn things over to Kevin Ford and let him give our viewers a close-up look behind the windshield of what it's like to take an entire circuit of Bathurst, the Mount Panorama Circuit.
Welcome, everyone, to Mount Panorama Circuit. Great to have you with us as we bring you your track guide today from New South Wales, Australia. And a 4-mile course made up of public roads. This place is unbelievable to drive. You are about to be on the edge of your seat. Here we go, heading up the front straightaway. You'll notice our pit area to the left here and all of the pit garages. To the right, you'll see fans lined up all over the hillsides here. There'll be bleachers put up for the races. It is quite a spectacle to come here to Bathurst for this Mount Panorama event. Down into turn 1 here, you'll see drivers fighting for position as they come roaring up out of this corner and head up the mountain straight to head towards the hillside here at Mount Panorama. Beautiful, beautiful scenery here, but drivers are not going to have time to enjoy it as they get up into this section here. We'll be coming into some slipstream, obviously up this straightaway, so overtaking will happen coming into Griffin's Bend here. We'll get down into third gear. We're going to hug that apex, come up off that corner, all the way out to the outside to make sure we're keeping that momentum up as we climb the hill here and get up into the cutting. This will be turns 3 and 4 here. As we come down into the cutting, we're going to keep it nice and tight and get a nice launch, as this section through here, believe it or not, is wide open for these cars as we head up into Frogged Hollow. There'll be a dip up here to the left. We'll pick up some good speed and momentum here. Not a lot of overtaking in this section. Most drivers will stay pretty much in a train here. You may see some overtaking opportunity coming up the hill here as we approach Skyline out of turn 10. We'll head into turn 11 here, and then heavy on the brakes as we come down into this very fast braking section. Back to the right, down into the dipper to the left, right back out into this little switchback section here. This will bring us into Forest Elbow. Heavy on the brakes here. We'll get right down into second gear. Get a good run all the way out to the wall. Want to use up every bit of opportunity to keep that RPM up on this motor. Heading down the back straight now out of Forest Elbow. This is Conrod Straight. This will take us to the chase. And obviously, slipstream here is a big one. Big opportunity to make some overtaking. Coming down into the chase here usually happens about this section, and it's very difficult to get cars side by side coming down into this heavy brake zone. This will certainly be one of the action areas in the event. Here we go, coming up out of the chase there of turn 22. This is going to bring us down to the final corner of turn 23. Heavy on the brakes here. This will bring us right back onto that front straightaway. Big run up out of here as we come across the start-finish line. We do appreciate you being with us for this beautiful drive around Mount Panorama.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of the Mount Panorama Circuit. And, you know, Larry, we talk about how, you've got these really two very different courses. You've got the long run, obviously, down the Conrod Straight, the back straight that's almost 7/10 of a mile, broken up by the chase. You've got the run out of turn 1 out of Hell Corner all the way up to Griffin's Bend, which is dead straight. And then, excuse me as I sneeze, and then, you've got this tight, twisty top end of the course, or south end of the course, actually, that, slows the speeds down, and it essentially turns the track into almost a one-lane circuit. I mean, it's really such a dichotomy.
Yeah, and from a setup standpoint, obviously you want to try and take any kind of arrow that you might have, and the GR86s have some, but you basically take that out because you've got those long straightaways. You want to really make time down, not give up passes, but then you would like to have some of that, especially coming down the hill from Skyline all the way down force elbow, because you really need some of that to hold the back of the car down. If you get into a rhythm and you're dancing the car down there, it's great. If the back end starts getting loose, or if you get to the end of it, you got to make that left, you hit the brakes, it just doesn't quite tuck in, you're in big trouble very quickly. So it makes it a very interesting a scenario of trying to get a setup that works. And just to me, this place, you just need to put hours and hours and hours of practice in to know the little intricacies of getting around here, how close you can get away with rubbing up against those walls. And at some point tonight, everyone's probably going to rub the walls. It's whether or not they do so much damage that they're out, or can they survive 30 minutes and set up for the next round.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, Larry, I was going to ask you about the GR86s in particular. Obviously, it's a non-issue for the MX-5 Cup cars, but the GR86s, the drivers do have the ability to set wing angle there, which can certainly affect the straight line speed going down that long back straight, the Conrad straight, but also could compromise their ability to carry speed through the or not, maybe where speed isn't necessarily the measure, but to actually keep a very stable rear end as they run down through the mountain itself. Yeah, we'll definitely have to look there. We were getting reports that at least on the straightaways there, the Toyotas were though running quite a bit faster than the Mazdas, but as they run through the tighter confines here. As we've seen on almost every circuit this season in the Touring Car Cup, the Toyotas and the MX-5s, they're really very evenly matched. They just have slight differences about being able to power out of corners, how quickly they can roll to the apex, and certainly one of the challenges that the Toyota drivers have had at traditional circuits is the effect of curbing on the balance of these very softly sprung machines that they seem to transfer weight in very odd ways, but curbing isn't really much of an issue here at Bathurst.
Not really. If you hit the one, as you're on your way back towards through the chase there, you might clip it a little bit hard and you might pop it up a little bit, but it's not terrible. Really tonight, though, the good thing is, unlike the last round where we had a lot of interaction in our long format 75 minutes, tonight these two 30-minute sprints and the stage start or staggered start between the GR86s and the Miatas means we probably won't have a whole lot of interaction, certainly not between the fronts of each field. There may be some between the front of one to the back of the other, but in a 30-minute sprint, traffic shouldn't be all that bad. But I think what we are going to see, though, is some tight racing. We've seen a lot of it, especially in the MX-5s this season. The GR86s, we often end up with maybe a 1 or 2 car, maybe at most a 3-car battle. We'll see if that develops here tonight. But I think the second races with the inverted starts, both fields are going to be upside down in a lot of ways, because the GR86s, if we have a 1-car runaway or a 2-car runaway, you put those two now at 4th and 5th in the second race, it's going to make it pretty hairy for the opening laps. For the Mazdas, I think we could have a 6-car train, 7-car train, and it's just going to be the same train for the second race.
For the second race, exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be an interesting night tonight here with these two classes and these two sprint formats.
Yeah, so what Larry's talking about is after our first 30-minute race, we will invert the order of the top 5 finishers from that race to set the grid for race number 2. But before we get that far ahead of ourselves, Larry, we've got our drivers on track right now, most of them working, and some of them almost ready to complete their very first lap of qualifying here at Bathurst, where we give our drivers 15 minutes and 4 flying laps, 4 attempts to set their fastest lap and set the grid for this evening's race. And we're on board right now with Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing, driver of the Street Tuner Pro Mazda MX-5 for Orion Racing. And let's do this as Schwenke now crosses the line, and Brennan Horn had crossed the line as well. You're starting to see on our timing tower some different colors pop up on the left-hand side in the positioning, and so let's try and get a breakdown here. We've got our guide right up at the top of the screen there, where the cars that have red mirrors on them are our Street Tuner Pro, much like Robert Hartley here, also from Orion Racing. That is the Mazda MX-5, the Street Tuner in the Pro class. We've got both Pro and Am for both of our chassis. And so for Street Tuner Am, let's jump over and find an AM like Jeff Cranston, and Jeff's got the green mirrors and the green number boards on the door as well. And then we've got our Club Sport racers. Those are the Toyota GR86s in Club Sport Pro. Like Scott Banks right here. Scott is running the black number boards and mirrors, and then in Club Sport AM, like Russ Ruddick here. And as Russ makes his way down, he's got the green mirrors. Probably the orange. Let's try that again. Let's look at Paul Carey here, and Paul Carey of the 141 machine. He's got the orange mirrors and orange number boards on the car there, and that is your AM category here for Club Sport. And so, Larry, we give drivers 4 flying laps. It takes a little while to get around Bathurst, as we saw from when Kevin Ford did the track guide. And I believe Kevin Ford is going to be racing with us here tonight. Mm-hmm. He's actually currently at the moment our second fastest driver in Club Sport Pro. But lap times are in the 231, 232 range currently for a lot of these drivers. So it's going to take them almost the entire 15 minutes, I think, to get those 4 laps in.
Yeah, they will definitely want to take all their opportunities here to get those laps in and get a good flyer in here, because this place is, especially that first run, that first time you go up the mountain, it gets a little bit hairy.
Yes, it does.
I've done a lot of public races around here in the Miatas, in fact, and that first time, not even the first time before you even get up the mountain, but even the first time through turn 2, the right-hander at the bottom of the mountain, even there it gets a little bit hectic. So we'll be looking tonight to see if that field has sorted things out. I suspect the same thing in the GR86s. Both classes, all 4, I should say, will have the same sort of thing where it's going to bunch up and be a lot of interaction going on early before things get sorted out. But I think a lot of drivers, sounds like we've talked to a few this week that have really put in the time to try and extra learn this place to be even more comfortable. Bobby Childs is reported to have put in a lot of time, but Kevin Ford could use a little bit more as he goes spinning there at the last corner. That's going to ruin a lap.
And Larry, we were just watching the down in the lower third there. We had the photo of Kevin Ford, and all I could think of is he looked like Steve Winwood. And as he spun the car there coming out of Murray's corner, all I could think of was, hey, Mr. Fantasy. All right, let's take a look here, Larry. We're going to go back 2 weeks to our last round number 8 at Virginia International Raceway. And we'll take a look at the championship standings and how some drivers finished up there in the ST AM class, and that is our Mazda MX-5s. Ray Lombardi took the win after 75 minutes at Virginia International Raceway. Almost 15 seconds separated he and Steve Daniel from SKKJ Racing. Daniel had a heck of a fight on his hand all the way to the end, where Chuck Labano, who's scheduled to be our guest here tonight, finished in 3rd, and all the other racers in STAM finishing off of the lead lap. Jeff Cranston for Craney Customs finished 4th. Robert Brist from RFC finished 5th. Mike Key, Patrick Bervenis, both from Freedom Sport Racing, finishing 6th and 7th. Let's take a look at the championship standings, and there you go. Jeff Cranston currently with 155 points. He's got a 12-point advantage coming into tonight's 2 rounds over Chuck Labano. Ray Lombardi for Team Esport Racer, our winner from the last round. He now sits 3rd in the championship. He's only 4 points back. And then Mike Key and Patrick Preventis round out your top 5. Over in the pro class, it was, and I'll tell you, it was a great night in Street Tuner for Team Esport Racing. Of course, we had Ray Lombardi take Ray Lombardi, take the win in AM, while his teammate Ken Copeland took the win in pro. And this was one heck of a drag-out fight, Larry, as Robert Hartley pipped at the line by 91 one-thousandths of a second by Lombardi. Mike Dam was only 4 seconds back from there. I mean, it was so close at the end, with Copeland having to fight off the trio from Orion Racing that finished 2nd, 3rd for Dam, 4th for Travis Schwenke, and then Eugenio Polici. He was He was hot, he was cold, he was cold some more, he was hot again. Every time he seemed to work his way back up to the lead pack, he'd have an off. But he finished on the lead lap and finished in 5th, with Jordy Fike finishing he finished in 6th. Let's take a look at the point standings there for ST Pro for Mazda MX-5s. Mike Dam, after 8 rounds, he's got an 8-point advantage now over Palakui Grant from D2D eRacing, who was, I believe Grant was not at Virginia International Raceway. And I'm looking up and down the order tonight to see if he is he's in the session, and he is, although I've not seen him set a qualifying time yet after 2 tries so far. Robert Hartley is sitting 3rd in the championship, 18 points back, and then Brennan Horn from D2D, who's running pretty darn strong here in qualifying so far tonight. He is only 1 point back from Hartley, with Ken Copeland, our winner from last round, sitting in 5th, 3 points back from Horn. Let's switch over to the GR86s, where Joey Rutledge from The Wrong Stuff took the win, with Tom Jenkins and Brad Husty, both from Midfield Motorsports, rounding out the podium. Jenkins and Husty were I think 3/10 apart at the line. Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise and John Casey from Frito Sport finishing 4th and 5th. If we take a look at the championship standings right now, in Club Sport Am, it is Joey Rutledge currently your points leader. He's got a lucky 13-point advantage over his teammate Robert Schwenkler. Tom Jenkins from midfield is 9 points back from there, and then Brad Husty, Russ Ruddick, your top 5. And looks like Leo Dragata not all that far behind the number 5 machine. If we take a look now over at CS Pro, Scott Banks from Team Volta took the win. I don't want to say it was a surprise. It was a pretty darn hard fight between Scotty Banks and Eric Violet. Violet finishing 3/10 back. Bobby Childs finishing on the lead lap in 3rd, with Jeff Jake from D2D Racing, much like Eric Violet, and then Jeff Jacobs from SCCA Foundation, and Tom Morathke from Granite State. Unfortunately, he finished 5th, but he was 12 laps down. If we take a look at the point standings in Pro, it is Eric Violet over the Team Volta driver Scott Banks. 20 points separate them currently. Tom Morathke from Granite State is another 5 back from there, and then Jeff Jacobs another 12 back. And so I don't think Violet has the championship wrapped up, but he could go a long way towards doing so if he takes a win or 2 wins in Club Sport Pro, and he is currently our fastest driver on the mountain here in qualifying.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how he can do in his 2 nights, 2 races tonight. If he can wrap that up, he has had quite a string of wins through this season. That's pretty impressive, if you ask me. But we have our pre-race guest that I think he's waiting for us. Maybe we can get a few words with Chuck Labano.
All right, let's bring him in. Chuck Labano from Frito Sport Racing, as we mentioned, currently sitting 2nd in the STM Championship.
Hey, Chuck, tonight we get to run Bathurst up and down the mountain a couple of times, 2 rounds here tonight. How much time have you put into practice this place, and how comfortable are you going up that mountain?
I put in way too much time, but yet not enough. And up the mountain isn't the problem, it's the down.
Yes, it is a downside that always seems to be a little bit more on the difficult side. So I noticed in the points, you're currently in 2nd. We're keeping an eye on Ray Lombardi to see if he ends up with enough to be able to qualify and jump ahead of you. We got Jeff Cranston currently leading those points. Are you going to be keeping an eye on those guys in the standings? Are you trying to just stay close with them and see where it ends up?
Well, I had a look at it myself, and Ray's really fast. I think his only issue is sometimes the consistency, and I think he had a couple of vacations. So if he continues on the way he's going, he should be able to get past me. However, I'm not going to go down that fight. Jeff Cranston and I are really close, but most of the time he kind of gets the edge on me. So the way I see it for driving this car that I really can't stand, ending up in 3rd isn't the worst thing to happen.
So you say you can't stand the car, and I've heard that, with the way that this Mazda has changed over the last number of years. What have they done to it? What is your feeling about it, and why is it leaving a bad taste?
Well, I mean, I haven't been in this car until the beginning of the season, so all my experience was in the H pattern, which H pattern by itself is fun. But since I've been trying this car, it just, I don't know, it feels like it just wants to kill me. Every time I let off the gas, it just wants to spin around like there's no tomorrow. So I feel like I'm hanging on for dear life every corner, every acceleration, every time I brake. It's just crazy.
It is definitely a loose car, and that's one of the things I think they've done is they've changed either tire models or slightly upset the balance. And sometimes you got to chase that setup back. And in this car, what I found, it doesn't really help. It's just a wicked turn in. It's kind of become a full-bodied Skippy, if you ask me. But if you can get that handle of it, you can dance with that thing. It's a whole lot of fun. But tonight, you're dancing maybe a whole lot of, I don't know, avoiding those walls up and down the mountain. But at least we're only doing 230 minutes instead of the full 75 like we did last week, right? You could have been doing that here.
Oh, yeah. And that's almost a guarantee not to finish there. It's good. I mean, the bonus here is probably one of the scariest tracks for me, especially in VR when those walls are really, really close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in VR, I'm sure you get that real sensation of the climb of the mountain and that tunnel vision where sometimes in a triple screen or a single screen, you don't quite get that. But in VR, because you're looking over and everything around you is wall, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Like I look to the right, I don't see my drink at all, man. I see a big fat wall that wants to kill me.
Well, hopefully tonight that wall is gentle to you and at least keeps it contained and doesn't leave its mark too badly on you. It looks like in the qualifying so far, if I take a look, I want to say you're about, I think it was third right now in the M class. I think Lombardi's got the fastest time. Labano and you aren't too far apart, or you and I should say, and Cranston aren't too far apart. So good luck tonight. Hopefully you can stay with those guys and have a shot here, and we'll see how this car treats it. And hopefully it doesn't kill you.
Awesome. Yeah, if I can get through the first few laps there without dying, maybe I'll see if I can do something with Jeff.
All right. Well, good luck tonight, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you at the end of the night.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go, everybody. That was Chuck Labano from Frito Sport Racing, driving the number 34, Street Tuner Am Mazda. And Larry, I kind of forgot this, and it shouldn't. When we get to Bathurst, we actually tack an extra 5 minutes on the qualifying, which we do at Road America for the longer lap times here. And so we've still got about 25 seconds left in qualifying. We're on board right now with Marlon Jones, and Marlon has put a time on the books, but I don't think it's one that he's going to be all happy with.
He's
currently
got 9 seconds to finish this one.
Yeah, and he is currently sitting at the tail end of the Club Sport Am field, currently qualified 8th. And with that last lap, he jumps a couple spots, Larry, and he jumps a spot, and he moves up to 7th as he leapfrogs John Casey.
All right, so let's grid this thing up. It's going to be a big night. 2 races tonight, 30 minutes each. No refueling, no fuel stops. Hopefully no pit stops, because if you're pit stopping, you're probably also damaged your car. But tonight, let's see, a couple of sprints. Could be exciting.
All right, here as we got the field lined up, and Larry, as we've been doing all season long, we are going to be separating out the Club Sport from the Street Tuner drivers. And
but we do leave the Pro and Ams mixed together within them.
That is correct, but I believe, based on Eric Violette getting the fastest lap time, that the Toyotas, the Club Sport cars, will be starting at the front of the field, which means our drivers are going to have to do a little dance here before they start to follow.
Hopefully they don't have to do that dance. I think the sim will put them at the front, but either way, I think we could probably run down that order. And yep. I've got the full intermixed Toyota order here in front of me. If you want to start with that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry McLeod.
All right. On the pole tonight, as you mentioned, Eric Violette qualified with 2:30.6. That is an insanely quick time. Second on the grid is actually your first AM driver, Joey Rutledge, is going to be on the outside of row 1 in his Toyota at 2:32.0, showing you how fast Violette's time is 1.4 seconds faster than everybody is. Pretty darn fast, if you ask me. Third on the inside of row 2 is going to be Kevin Ford, one of our admins for the league. He'll be lined up alongside Tom Jenkins. Jenkins, of course, out of the AM category. On row 3 on the inside, Tom Rathke and Bobby Childs from D2D sharing that row. On row 4 on the inside, you got Scott Banks. On the outside, it'll be Jeff Jacobs. On row 5, Russ Ruddock lined up with Paul Carey. Row 6, Brad Husty alongside Leo Dragona. On row 7, Marlon Jones, John Casey. And all by himself on row 8, Edgar Sanchinelli did not get a great fast time in, but we'll see if he can move through the field here in this one. And they are doing the shuffle here between the Toyotas and the Mazdas.
As they're doing it down right before the chase, down at the very end of the back straight here, at the end of the Conrad Straight. So not a lot of space and a lot of time for them to do it. Yeah. And the pace car driver looking awfully lonely.
Yeah. All right, well, let me quickly then run through the Mazdas. On the pole tonight, Rob Hartley from Orion Racing alongside D2D's driver Paulie Grant. Second row, Travis Schwenke and Ray Lombardi. Lombardi being the highest of the AM qualifiers. Third row, Ken Copeland and Chris Thorman. On row 4, it's Brennan Horn and Jeff Cranston. Row 5 will be Jordy Fike and David Payton. Row 6, Chuck Labano and Greg Mack. Row 7, Robert Brist, Patrick Ravenis. And on row 8 by himself, Mike Key. And we are moments away from green flag.
All right, here we go as Eric Violet leads our Club Sport drivers around the final corner, around Murray's Corner, onto the front straight as they wait for our starter to give the green flag. And there you go. Green flag is in the air as Violet and Rutledge on the front row make the run down the main straight over towards Hell Corner. And the first driver in, it is Eric Violet. Now side by side, just behind Joey Rutledge, Kevin Ford and Tom Jenkins. They still have not gotten it figured out. We've got Kevin Ford to the left, we got Jenkins to the right, and then just behind Tom Rathke gets ahead of Bobby Childs, Scott Banks, Jeff Jacobs as our street tuner drivers, the Mazda MX-5s. They come out of Murray's Corner onto the front straight. And green flag is in the air for our Mazda drivers as we've got Robert Hartley, our pole sitter, sitting on the inside, leading down into Hell Corner, but going around, sweeping around the outside. Paulie Grant, for the moment, he gets around Robert Hartley, and that's going to give him inside position as they make the run down the mountain straight and up the hill towards Griffin's Bend. And we already have drivers around, Larry.
And guess who it is? It's Bobby Childs, already gone around the number 88. He better get moving before the Mazdas come through because they'll be there in a minute. But out the front, it is still Eric Violet leading Joey Rutledge and Kevin Ford, your front three there in the Toyotas as the Mazdas are heading up the mountain.
And with a big gap, a good-sized gap now between Jenkins and Rathke running fourth and fifth, basically where Bobby Childs would have been as the Mazdas are coming up the hill now. And again, our leader, Paulie Grant with Robert Hartley. Then Ray Lombardi. Great start for Lombardi, Travis Schwenke, Brennan Horn, Ken Copeland, all in a row this early on. And Bobby Childs has taken his car back to the pit lane.
That's unfortunate, but you saw that opening turn, the first left-hander for Paulie Grant really had a great run on that outside to get around Hartley. He now leads that train. This is the middle of the pack. This is where things get interesting. Brennan Horn right in the tail of Travis Schwenke. Look at them, nose to tail, actually bumping as they head towards the dipper. That's crazy to be getting near that kind of contact. Look at you come down the hill, and this is where Chuck Labano talks about his car being one out here trying to kill him. Watch these cars dance around. There's so much movement in these Mazdas, and then you add the lightness as they plummet down the hill. It makes it extremely tough as Eric Violet now coming around to turn the end of the first lap, leading the GR86. And look at this, Joey Rutledge, Kevin Ford are sticking with him.
Yeah, there we go, as they've now stretched things out just a bit over Tom Jenkins and then Tom Rathke behind Scott Banks, our fourth place runner in pro, currently leading a second little pack, but quite a distance off from our lead trio right here. And this is kind of what we expected to see, I think, Larry, especially after the fights that we saw a couple of weeks ago. Maybe not what we expected to see with Scott Banks, though, with that very distant fourth again after he came off that win at VIR.
Yeah, with him kind of that far down, we've seen Rathke have some good races as well, and those guys maybe just didn't quite get the feel this place, the setup like they wanted. They're down already early, but I'm interested to watch Joey Rutledge. I think we had read that Eric Violet actually helped Joey practiced this week as he had just bought this track, and that's a lot. That's a tall order to learn.
It's a lot of ramp up
in a week, but he's done obviously very well, qualified well right near the front, leading the M category, and actually ahead of Kevin Ford, who we know has got a lot of laps around here. At least he's got a lap at a Mazda. He did the lap demo
the track guide.
At least one lap. But for Joey, this is a great opportunity to learn some more now, following, as we call the master here, Eric Violet, and his ability to really dial a car in and to lead a train and to just get everything out of it. Violet's doing a great job, and Violet's just kind of learning from him now as they go.
Oh, and look at this fight right here, Larry, who are you again? As kind of mid-pack for the Mazdas, Jordy Fike, Chris Thorman, Ken Copeland. We see side by side. Oh, and running wide, that was Jordy Fike into the wall, the 09 car. And we'll see how much damage he picks up there. As he was side by side with Chris Thorman as they started to make the run down the mountain. But these drivers, Larry, and we talked about early on, as the Mazdas are just kind of dancing around. It's been a challenge all season long, especially in the opening laps, having to work and deal with very loose cars. It seemingly takes at many of the circuits 2, sometimes 3 laps for the tires to come in, and you just don't have that opportunity nor the space to work that here at Bathurst.
No, you really don't. You have to kind of go with it. If your car's a little evil, especially if you're in the middle of the pack, you just have to run with it and see what happens. We got a shot here. All 4 of these guys. That's Paul Carey at the front of it. It looks like Edgar Sancinelli at the back of it, and in between, I see Dragota. I see
Brad Husty is in there, I think, also. And we've got I think three of our Club Sport AM drivers, and then Edgar Sancinelli at the tail end of that pack in the yellow and black machine in the pro category, but all fighting for position right now. And it's the battle for AM for those 3 drivers. It's the battle for 4th.
Well, up there on the screen, you can see the graphic car 41. That would be Tom Rathke, who was given the penalty, it looked like, for the incident with Bobby Childs. So, well, maybe we didn't quite catch. Oh, we do have a replay, it sounds like. So let's go ahead and catch the replay of that opening lap instance there. Between them, here's Bobby on the outside and Rathke on the inside as they head up to the cutting. As they turn in, it looks like maybe a little bit wide there for Rathke, getting into Bobby and spinning him around.
Let's take a look at another view of it here, Larry, as they come to the apex. And,
it's tough to go too wide through there, I'll say that.
I think Bobby was trying to pinch him a little bit also, and unfortunately paid the ultimate price for it, and that is guaranteed no points here in race number 1. As we jump back up, and we saw Edgar Sancinelli a little while ago. He now has young Leo Dragota in the 118 machine directly behind him.
Remember, I believe Sancinelli started this race dead last, or started the Toyota section dead last, having not even really put in his qualifying time was in the 3-minute range. So for him to take what he's done and start moving up the field looks pretty good. As we flash back to our Mazdas, and it looks like Hartley now, Neil Ryan has gotten around the D2D of probably could be Grant's the new leader in the Mazdas.
Yeah, and Grant is looking for some opportunities to pass there as they went up towards Skyline and now make the run down the mountain. We'll see here. We know that if you can get a good run out of Forest Elbow, the right-hander that leads you onto the back straight, onto the Conrad Straight. Great opportunity to use the draft and perhaps get by, but we can see Grant, who was right on the back bumper of Hartley, coming down the mountain. As he came out of the elbow, he was about 2.5 car lengths back. He's closing up on it some here as they come under the Fuso Bridge, and we're going to have that quick right and left move at the chase coming up here. Let's see what Grant does, or if he decides to just hold position as they now make that hard left and then right at the chase.
Grant doesn't have the customized front end on there yet, but his teammate just behind them does. In fact, Brennan Horn, you can get a look at him. He's customized to put the D2D front graphics on there as he's in that battle right in there with Ray Lombardi, your AM leader, in front of him. Then he's got Copeland in the pro class right behind him. So he's in the middle of a pretty good battle down there for the 4th, 5th, and 6th in that, I guess 5th, 6th, and 7th in the overall. tight train, though. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You'd have a bit of a breakaway in the Toyotas, but no such luck for a breakaway in the Mazdas. But even in the Toyota, as Violet seems to have company, as Joey Rutledge is learning very well. The young Padawan is taking notes and trying to figure this thing out. And maybe he was slow playing Eric a little bit this week.
Exactly. No, Eric, I've never raced this circuit before.
Joey doing a pretty good job here early on. We'll see if this develops into anything, because we're just 9 minutes into our 30, and Joey looking pretty good. Ooh. And maybe Eric just kind of taking it easy as well.
Yeah, they may be. And now that we've got this 3-car breakaway at the front, they may have possibly dialed it back just a little bit.
Their lap times are currently in the mid 31s. Remember, Joey's lap time at qualifying with a 32.0, so he's already under his lap time, whereas Violet had qualified at that 30 point and change, and so he's actually a little bit above his qualifying pace, but it's a pretty good clip anyway.
So, Larry, we have a special guest in the chat, and that is our former director or producer, Jonathan Grabowski. He says it's nice to see you guys have a real broadcaster running the show instead of the John and John Gong show.
Come on now. Jonathan did a great job with us.
Give yourself more credit.
Yeah, those guys were great. But, we've got the boss with us here doing a wonderful job for us.
That's right. Don't say anything wrong, we'll get fired. All right, here as we're watching, we've got Paul Carey there in that 141 machine, sitting back behind Sancinelli. So Sancinelli in the last 2 laps has gotten around he's gotten around, Casey, Marlon Jones, Leo Dragata, and Paul Carey there. Yeah. He's still sitting 4th in pro, but he's been able to dispatch with a lot of the AM traffic that was directly ahead of him, but looks like he's got a pretty good run that he's got to make to get up to Brad Husty and Russ Ruddock here.
He's done a great job, though, having started at the back and really was patient early on, and now just picking them off one by one. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. I want to see if he can maybe get up into the top 10 of this, because you get the second race where he'll start where he finishes. And it could make for an interesting second race. We look back to our leaders. Kevin Ford not drifting too far back of the front, too. You can see there in that red and white car in the 3rd spot, just about a second behind Eric Violet and Joey Rutledge. So he's right there.
Oh, and a little brush of the wall there for Violet.
Yeah. You got to use every ounce of it, and sometimes you got to rub the mirrors on those walls. It's our trade paint with the wall graphics.
And let's jump back to the battle for the lead here in Street Tuner, where Robert Hartley still is managing to hold off Palakui Grant. Grant took a little bit of a look to the inside as they came up the mountain straight up towards Griffin's Bend, and realized he probably wasn't going to have enough room to get that pass done, so he's going to follow up the mountain as they now make the run up through Quarry Corner. And Grant again taking a look to the inside.
This is very aggressive to take that run up there. And look at the nose on the D2D car. He's got the classic livery already going. But talk about aggressive to do it at that point. I've never seen that. Usually you just stay behind and maybe even give a little bit of push up that last bit of the hill. But tonight, Grant saying, you know what? Robert's run wasn't great coming out of the cutting. I'm going to go ahead and take the point now for the rest of this lap. But now the pressure's on not to make a mistake, because you've got 5 cars all within about a second and a half. You mess up the front of that train, the rest of it's going to pile up behind you.
Yeah, and now for a new challenge, Larry, the front of our Street Tuner field, they're coming up onto the back of some of the drivers there in Club Sport. And
this could be a drafting opportunity, actually, for the front pack here.
It's either a drafting opportunity or it's going to bottle more of that Street Tuner field up. We'll see here as
it's Marlon Jones there in front of him.
Exactly, the number 25 Toyota just ahead. And you can see here we're already Brennan Horn now stepping to the inside, trying to find a way around Ray Lombardi as they come through and into the chase.
It's tough because, and look at this.
Late move.
Yeah, that looked like a late on the brakes, whoops kind of move there for Ken Copeland. I don't think he meant to do that, and there he goes, it gives that spot back up. He really just avoided the murder wreck going on. And this is not avoiding any kind of murder wreck. That is Marlon Jones getting caught in it.
Oh, and so many of our street tuner drivers getting in with Marlon Jones there. As there was contact. I think we had Brennan Horn contact. I think we had Copeland contact as well. And I think that might have been Ray Lombardi that got the nose into that car as it spun around. Let's take a look and see what led off.
Yeah, Marlon Jones there is on driver's right. And, of course, you got the front of the field. And Marlon just catches grass. And, wow, I'll tell you, Hartley is lucky to get by. Schwenke's lucky to get by, but Lombardi is not so lucky.
No.
Brennan Horn gets through. But that breaks the pack up, and for Marlon, he was just trying to stay out of the way. But under braking, when you catch some of that grass on the driver's right,
and somehow Palakui Grant, who had a pretty big clout with that car as it went around, just managed to keep the wheel straight and kept the car moving, and he maintains the lead.
He definitely hit him. You can see the right side of Grant's car's got a pretty good scrub on it. But maybe it's driving well. He hasn't given up the lead, still ahead of Hartley and now Schwenke, second and third. But it definitely broke up the rest of that train as Horan and Copeland are falling back. And then, of course, Lombardi is going to be in big trouble on this one. I don't think he's got a chance. That was a pretty hard impact with that Toyota.
It was. And it looks like Thorman is taking his car to the pits. I think he was involved with that as well. Should also note that SCCA Foundation racer Jeff Jacobs has brought his Toyota into the pits.
Yeah, so he and Thorman are in the pits. Bobby's actually gone in and come back out, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's back on course.
But, but again, we're 2 sprint races tonight, so even if you get a wreck in the first one, you will be participating in the second one. We're halfway through the first one here, as you can see, 15 minutes of our 30. But look at this, interesting that Grant, after that little incident, has got a little bit of a gap now growing. But behind, look at now, this is really interesting. As we were talking about Kevin Ford hanging around, Joey Rutledge was doing pretty good. Joey must have had a bit of a hiccup moment because Kevin has pounced and gotten around Rutledge. Kevin now second quickest overall, now ahead of the AM leader Rutledge. Kevin, though, can he use the draft? Can he catch up to Violet for the lead? While this battle of Copeland, who we saw nearly murder Brennan Horn a lap or so ago, this time he finds the right breaking point here at the chase and gets on by. For the moment, we'll see how they are as they come up to Murray's corner. I like the inside here.
Yeah, as Brennan Horn working against his old team Esport Racer, grabs a bunch of curbing there at the final corner at Murray's corner. Gonna toss away a little bit of momentum there, but Larry, he's still got a nose up right now on the 15 of Copeland as they come into Hell Corner.
Well, he does. He's having a good ride in that outside line. But look behind him. That's Ray Lombardi, 84. I just saw him T-bone a Toyota a lap ago, and he's still in this thing.
He's in it.
And there he is, running right with Copeland and Brennan Horan, all three of them together. So Lombardi not giving up that AM lead. He wants to hold Cranston and the guys behind him. And right now he's mixing it up pretty good. You can see his nearest rival is back there a bit of a ways. So he's got some gap, but Copeland is going to mix it into right in the middle of this. So you get the two Esport racers.
And I think Horan's strategy is just to stay center of track and hold off the two Team Esport racers behind him.
It's a good strategy, but it's a whole train of Esport racers behind him right now. If you take a look, all of those are Esport racers. 1, 2, 3, I think even the Toyota as well.
Yes, I was just going to say, I think the Toyota is part of the same team. He's got the whole team back behind him.
Yeah, so, but right now it looks like Copeland is quick. I don't know if Horan is maybe nursing the car a little bit. He's certainly not hitting his marks, maybe doing a little bit too much mirror watching. We'll see if he can kind of settle down here as they come down the mountain.
All right, and Marlon Jones getting a warning after some, given the incident that we had a little while ago. I think that's at this point all you can really do.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate. Just you try to stay out of the way, you touch a little bit of grass, and then you're just kind of a passenger at that point. But look at this. Brennan Horn does get a pretty good run coming out of the Forest Elbow. Maybe just a hair better than Copeland Lombardi, and I think that's Jordy Fike then right behind them.
Yeah, Fike is in the red and white 09.
Yeah, the other of the Esport racers. Look at the draft. Copeland this time. We know he's a late breaker. We saw it already. He's going to go alongside. This time he'll take the outside line. Who breaks first?
I don't think it's going to matter. He's clearly ahead of the 45 machine. Wow, look look at the slide as they go through turn 21. Oh my gosh, as they make the run down to the final corner now. And now we jump back to the battle for the lead, Larry, just ahead of that fight that we were watching. And Robert Hartley and Travis Schwenke trying to put one over on the 71 car of Grant. Grant not having anything of it as he's still door to door with the number 3 machine. The difference is this time, whereas we saw Grant early on take the lead, actually on the very opening lap, we would say Hartley would have the inside position going into Griffin's Bend, but it's not going to matter now as Hartley clearly ahead. Grant settles in, slots in right between the 2 Orion racers.
Yeah, just watching these 2 different sets of battles going on. It's a D2D driver on their own fighting against a team. And in this case, we're watching Brennan Horn being the D2D up against a couple of eSport racers with Lombardi and Copeland. And then, of course, the other battle out of the front, you've got Grant, the D2D, fighting against Schwenke and Hartley, the 2 Orion drivers. And it's just interesting to see how the teammates gang up on the one standalone. And in this game, Brennan Horn would love to catch up to Grant and be that extra teammate for him. But, you know, with this pack right now, he's even going to be struggling with Jordy Fike on his 6, as it looks like that opening part of his lap is not the strength of Brennan Horn. He seems to be really good at the Forest Elbow, but not so much at the Griffin's Bend and the cutting.
All right, let's drop back down, and this is, I believe we've got, it's Scotty Banks and Tom Jenkins here, and they're practically side by side coming down the Conrad Straight, and easing ahead now is Tom Jenkins. He's currently running second in AM. Actually, I guess that's Banks just ahead. I'm sorry about that. It's Banks ahead in the number 7 machine, and then it's Tom Jenkins directly behind. Banks currently running 3rd in Pro. Jenkins running 2nd in AM. And pretty good distance behind. Again, those 3 drivers up ahead, Violet, Ford, and Rutledge, and about 9 seconds out. Oh!
Yeah, that's Paul Carey on that inside. It broke late. He tried to just cut it across the apex and take the penalty, but instead he ended up bumping Leo Dragota, who appears to be a little bit slow here. We'll see if he's able to get on pace or if he's got actual damage to his GR86. And then you've got, of course, the Pro in the Mazdas on their way around the finish corner here, around Murray's onto the front straight. And look how wide Grant's getting there. But this battle, look at the 3 of them. Really hitched together.
As we've got just 9 minutes, actually, 9 minutes remaining here, and we have the stewards taking a look at that incident between the 141 and the 118, between Paul Carey, who's brought his car back to the pits, and the 118 car of Dragota.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that plays out and if that's going to affect the starting grid for the next race. But I mean, already with Carey sitting in the pits, it's going to affect it one way or the other. Here, as we're watching this battle for the lead in Street Tuner, with Hartley, Grant, and Schwenke coming out of Griffin's Bend, starting to make their run up the mountain. And a little bit further back is the second battle. And look at this as Horn has gotten back around the East Street racers that had all passed them on the previous lap.
But this is, I think, the weak part of Brennan's lap times is this section. He seems to be a lot slower than the rest of the eSport racers behind him. I don't know if that's car setup or just comfort with the track. But he's able to use that advantage off that Forest Elbow and take the lead coming down the back, which is great when you get to the end of the race. You can make that last gas pass. But he would love to be able to get a good run up the mountain. But I'm just watching Copeland right on his tail all the way up the mountain.
As they come to Solomon Park and start to make the run back down the hill.
One thing worth noting is, as we mentioned earlier briefly, this being 2 sprints tonight is the order of the first race dictates the start of the second race, with the exception being the top 5 of each make. The top 5s in the Toyotas and the top 5s in the Mazdas will invert from their finishing position. So that means I'm looking at the Mazdas right now. Hartley, Grant, Schwenke are 1, 2, 3. We know that. Brennan Horn, as you can see, is running 4th. Copeland is running 5th. He would actually, if
be your pole sitter.
Yeah, right now he would be the pole sitter for the second race. In the Toyotas, it's Eric Violet, Kevin Ford, Joe Rutledge, Scott Banks, and Tom Jenkins currently 5th. Yeah, and right now he's pretty solidly.
And going around Larry Pellicui Grant goes around, and he gets the car back underneath him, but it looked like there might have been some contact between he and Hartley there, and he is now a distant, very distant third. We'll see as he gathers that car back up, and you can see the battle behind him coming up with Team Esport Racers. So that last step on the podium certainly under a cloud right now, as Horn is lost out to Copeland in the draft, and those racers now getting perilously close to the 71 machine.
Yeah, they're going to be up on him very quickly, especially if they can keep things sorted out. That's a pretty big gap. Any sort of fighting, we know these guys have been doing a lot of fighting. It's probably going to keep them slow and fighting for the 4th, 5th, which tells me that 2 of them will be at the advantage of the inverted start for the second race. The other 2 will stay where they are. So right now, if you're Brennan Horn and you're Ken Copeland, you're doing everything you can to stay ahead of Ray Lombardi and Jordy Fike. And Lombardi and Fike, if they can do math, they would know right now that they need to start making passes and have a shot to start the second race on the pole. This is going to be the most fun 6-7 minutes here as we wind up these laps. This is going to be a lot of fun to see who gets the transfer spots and who stays at the back.
All right, and if you saw it flash up on the screen, Paul Carey being assigned responsibility. Let's take a look and see what happened here with Grant.
Grant comes through and just
chase.
lost
he did it all on his own, Larry.
Yeah, once he was going around, Travis had nowhere to go and bumped him, but that's all on Grant, all by himself. Just lost it. I can understand that corner kind of flattens out a little bit. And, for Grant, that's throwing away an opportunity to get a victory in a very tight points battle. He would have loved to stay in that. Right now, he's going to be just hoping to hang on for third.
All right, so, again, Paul Carey assigned responsibility for that incident with Leo Dragata. And Carey at this point looks like he has made his way out of the pits, but running a very distant 8th in Club Sport Am.
Kevin Ford really turning the afterburners on here tonight. I tell you, he has currently in possession of fastest lap of the race at a 2-minute 30.9, faster than Eric Violet's 2:30.105, and faster than Joey Rutledge's 2:30.96. So Kevin really screaming around here, and he's cut that lead sitting here at a good, that's about 1.6 seconds. But any hiccup, any misstep for Eric Violet, and Kevin's going to be right there with him. And that means if there's any Mazdas these guys happen to catch in the next 2 laps or so, maybe we might be looking at about 2 laps left, maybe a 3rd lap if it comes to it.
I was going to say, that I would think, Larry, will have to, as Violet's coming up the mountain now.
It might be 3 laps.
I was thinking that they might get the white flag. We've got about 4 minutes remaining here. Yeah, they might get 2 more laps.
It's going to be close, because if they cross-start finish with 5, that would be a white flag next time. But if it was 5 minutes and 5 seconds, then they would probably need that extra lap. So that'll be interesting. Did everybody take enough fuel for the extra lap? And does it give someone like Kevin Ford an opportunity to catch some traffic and maybe, just maybe, have a go at the lead?
All right, well, Brenton Horn continuing to hold off Ken Copeland, Ray Lombardi, and just as I say that, Copeland moves to driver's left as they make the run up the mountain straight. And we'll see if Copeland can go around the outside. There's a lot of room. It's a very wide entrance to that corner.
There's that bump on the entry with a wall that comes up on your left, and Copeland able to make it stick. And
just runs right around the outside of Horn.
And Bobby getting a warning for avoidable contact. Not sure where that was, but Bobby having his own race here and probably not one he wants to remember. Well, now they climb the hill. Look at this. Brennan going to stick the outside as they head up the mountain. This is a lot like what we had seen Pellicui Grant do on the inside earlier on Hartley. This time it's the D2D teammate Brennan Horn doing it to the eSport racer Copeland, going side by side as they climb. This is really good stuff.
It is, and Horn keeping the car pin driver's left for the series of left-hand turns as the track transitions from going up the mountain to down the mountain. And may have taken around 7 turns, but Brennan Horn, he gets the pass on Copeland done. All right, so Eric Violet, he's coming onto the front straight now, and Larry, there it is. White flag is in the air as we have just 2 minutes remaining on the clock, and with these laps taken 2.5, 1 more lap to go here for race number 1.
Well, that's 1 less lap of these guys beating each other up, and 1 less lap for Kevin Ford to have a chance to pass Eric Violette for the lead. But what that does mean is if you're Brennan Horn, you're going to see that white flag and know that the next time you come out of the mountain, out of that forest elbow, it's going to be for keeps. So right now you can give up that one spot to Copeland if you want, but you better make sure you're ready to make that pass. In fact, if I'm Brennan Horn, I probably would let Copeland go. Make sure you're behind Copeland going up the mountain the next time, and then make the pass.
Exactly.
But Ray Lombardi's got his own thoughts on taking that extra spot up there and putting Brennan Horn back. Remember, 2 of these go to the front row to start the next race. The other 2 stay back on rows 4 and 5.
Stay all the way back in 5th, or I guess 6th and 7th position.
Yeah.
All right, as they cross the line now and start their final lap. Let's take a look, and we'll jump over to the GR86s for a moment, because this is the battle, Larry, for second in in Club Sport AM. Russ Ruddick in the number 95 machine. We saw with Tom Jenkins, they were side by side as they came through Griffin's Bend, and that is almost nothing to the if they could make it 4 wide here, they would. As Brennan Horn, he's got the inside line. Ken Copeland trying to go around the outside. Actually, that was and for a moment there, Lombardi had the position as they come up, and I don't know, Larry, as they're coming up here.
I would not want to be leading right now if I'm of this strain. I would much rather be where Ken Copeland is.
Yes, but the problem for Horn is you can't easily manipulate that with the 3 teammates behind you. How do you just slot yourself in? Oh, well, it might make it easier there.
In a moment, a couple of them decide to rub the wall. Lombardi's going to be the beneficiary. This might help Brennan Horn a ton, because it might break that draft a little bit if he could just bustle around the top of Skyline here and in through the dipper. If he can get a good little run, maybe, just maybe, he can hold the draft on their last lap as they come down here into the final corner. Eric Violette, not an easy win, but it looks like he's going to get another win here today.
There you go. So Eric Violette will win round number 9 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup in Club Sport Pro. Finishing second will be Kevin Ford. Joey Rutledge, great run for Joey. He takes the win in Club Sport AM. And Scotty Banks, I think, coming across the line. Scotty Banks will take the last podium position here in race number 1 in Club Sport Pro. Now let's take a look as our Mazdas are coming through the chase for the very last time. It's a 2 Orion Racing teammates. It's Robert Hartley, your leader, with Travis Schwenke behind, and they've got they've got some slower Toyota traffic directly ahead. And as they come out of the final corner, out of Murray's corner, Schwenke's going to make it close as they come to the line. And can Hartley hold him off? Yes. Robert Hartley takes the win by 0.22 of a second over his teammate Travis Schwenke. And as they come out of the final corner, can Brennan Horn hold off Ray Lombardi? He does.
And Lombardi holds off Copeland. Remember, Copeland was the one sitting in that 4th or 5th spot almost the entire time. He ends up 5th in the Pro, which is 6th in the overall, which means he will start in that position. It's Lombardi that will be on the pole for the second race with Brennan Horn on his outside. And remember, earlier we were watching that battle of Russ Ruddick and Tom Jenkins. One of them goes to the front of the field. The other stays where they're at. That's Russ Ruddick will start the second race on the pole. Tom Jenkins will start in 6th.
Yeah, and I'm sure Copeland probably hitting himself, much like he hit the wall going up the mountain on the last lap there as he lost a whole bunch of speed. We didn't mention that Paulo Kui Grant comes home in 3rd in Street Tuner Pro there with a good recovery, and he had a nice gap built up to between he and the group that were fighting it out for 4th. All right, so Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors, and when we come back, we'll have round number 10, our second 30-minute sprint of the evening here from Bathurst, where you're watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup presented by Performa Elite, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts, support from experts that love sim racing, trusted by the pros, There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back, everybody, to Bathurst, New South Wales, and the Mount Panorama Circuit for the rounds number 9 and 10, season number 23 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, I seemingly just go wow every single round, but that was some great fighting, and I think as we're going to get ready for our second race tonight with the inverted grid for the top 5 in each class, it's gonna really mix things up here at the front of the field.
Yeah, this is gonna be a ton of fun. You've got some folks that were in the middle of battles that are just gonna find themselves in the middle of other battles. We had talked about the battle I believe it was Jenkins had with Russ Ruddock. Those two now were split, but it puts Ruddock now fighting out in the front there, with Violet, as well as Kevin Ford. So that'll be fun to watch. I'm also going to see how far up Edgar Sancinelli can get, as it'll be interesting to see where he ends up in this next race.
All right, and so we've got our drivers out on track right now for a warm-up session. I believe a 5-minute warm-up session. We're about 3.5 minutes into it, so it's going to be a few more moments before our drivers grid up for our second race. We're watching Chuck Labano with a great overhead shot here of this beautiful race course. Chuck Labano putting in a little bit of extra practice time here as he gets ready for the second race for
it'll probably be a few minutes once they are able to start queuing up, because the sim doesn't invert both classes.
Right.
And
we'll do the little dance again.
The sim inverts the 7 from one class, so they have to pretty much throw out the sim's default order and get things queued up, but that's okay. And we'll get this underway shortly enough. Like I said, I think I know who's going to be on what order, but we'll let them queue it up just so we're sure about it. But yeah, good luck here at Chuck Labano as he plummets down the other side of the mountain. Not plummeting, he didn't fall over it, but as he runs his car down the mountain and onto the back straight. Although, one wrong turn.
That is right. And you, Larry, you see how long this straightaway is, and it really, when you have this helicopter view or this blimp view and you watch, you can really see how long it is. That the chase was put in primarily because of the length of this straightaway here, and it was done in order to in order to break it up, and it was basically for it so that they could get their FIA grade rating there. And I think the one other track that we've seen that is actually at Le Mans, where they put in the chicanes primarily to shorten down the length of the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah, and here I love the chase section also. It really it creates an opportunity for passing. It creates some bit of something interesting and unique along that back straight. just having the Conrad straight go all the way to Murray's Corner would just be this crazy 90 at the end of the world's longest straightaway. But throwing in the chase really makes you think a little bit, especially in these draft classes. Can you get past or can you get alongside into Murray's Corner, even if you're trailing or leading going into the chase? And I think it's a lot more interesting a lap because of that. I think
agreed. And can you get the car rotated as you come up that hill and then it starts to flatten out a little bit? I think it really adds a very nice challenge to it. And we saw a couple times here tonight where some of the drivers, were not able to negotiate that section of the course, that they just carried a little bit too much speed, did not brake enough down at the end of the straight to be able to navigate there, and it cost one driver a possible win tonight.
Yeah. So this will be interesting as we get things gridded up again. It'll be the Toyotas will be out first, the Mazdas then falling in behind. We believe it's the top 5 of each of those categories that will invert, which should put, I believe, Russ Ruddock on pole for the Toyotas, and should put, I believe we said it was Ray Lombardi, your AM leader, should actually start the second race here on pole for the Mazdas. But we'll let them sort things out, and then we'll know for sure.
Yeah, we'll see here for sure as we've got as things are getting lined up now. We've got Russ Ruddock and Scott Banks on the front row for the Toyotas. Then I guess Rutledge and Ford, and then Eric Violet, who was our winner, is back in 5th with Sancinelli now right there, right alongside with Eric Violet.
Should be Tom Jenkins alongside Eric Violet, with Ruddock moving to pole, but Sancinelli and Husty then fall behind. Dragota, Casey behind them, Jones and Bobby Childs, Paul Carey, Tom Rathke, and then Jeff Jacobs winding out the back. And in the Mazdas, should be Lombardi, Horan, Grant, Schwenke, Hartley in 5th, Copeland 6th, Fike Cranston in 7th and 8th, Peyton and Brist, then Key Labano, Prevenus, and Thorne.
All right, as our Club Sport racers come around the final corner, around Murray's Corner, onto the front straight, waiting for the green flag, and green flag is in the air, and we are racing here round number 10 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup. Side by side and going through Hell Corner, it is, for the moment, Scott Banks in that white number 7 machine. Driver's right. He's managed to get a nose up on Russ Ruddock, with Kevin Ford trying to give him a little bit of a push as they make the run up the mountain straight over towards Griffin's Bend. Now, we saw a pass from the outside at Griffin's Bend. We'll see if Russ Ruddock can do that, if he can make it stick. Back behind, we've got Joey Rutledge in the Wrong Stuff number 44 machine after a very convincing first race. But no, as they go into Griffin's Bend, it is Scott Banks. He's taking over the lead as our MX-5s, the Street Tuner drivers, are coming into Hell Corner into turn 1. And Brendan Horn, he jumps to the lead, gets ahead of Ray Lombardi, and really puts a stamp on it, Larry. He's got about 3 car lengths now as they start to make the run up the hill. We've got Lombardi, then Travis Schwenke, then Grant, then Hartley, who's gotten around Ken Copeland.
Well, that lead here for Brendan Horn isn't going to last long. I know he's trying to break a draft, but I don't know this is his strongest part of the track. But Lombardi is trying to hang on with Schwenke and Grant behind him. Grant, we know, had that bit of an oops in the last race that got him out of. Look, he's already got the front customized front nose there on his car. Did not take long at all. He is an aggressive user of the front of that car, a little bit of a horn, but he's going to slide in behind Lombardi there. And that's
we've got Edgar Sancinelli.
Oh, that's unfortunate, because he had made his way all the way up to 7th after starting the back of the first race. Oh, no, was that
That was Eric Violet, who I think was possibly involved with the Edgar Sancinelli incident. Violet now our winner from race number 1. He's out. He's in the pits very early on.
That is going to shake up a lot of things. Certainly it takes a perennial winner out of the lineup here to try and win this second round tonight. But it leaves Scott Banks now, who had kind of a slow starter in that last race, didn't have the great qualifying. Now he's up near the front, in fact, in the front, as he's going to lead the field around the end of the first lap. And you got Kevin Ford, who we know had a really strong first race, strong enough to be just a couple car lengths behind Violet. And now as we flash back over to the Mazdas, that's Travis Schwenke going slow, Ray Lombardi with some damage. Oh my, this is
yes, and that was after Larry. I was going to point out, just as we saw going up the hill, that that Schwenke had managed to work his way up into second position right behind Brennan Horn. And now look at the gap that Brennan Horn has, over 2 seconds, that he has effectively broken the draft there, as Robert Hartley is your new third-place runner, with Ken Copeland directly behind them, Jordy Fike, and Jeff Cranston, who is your AM category leader, now sitting fifth in Street Tuner.
Notice who else is missing is Polycui Grant is not in the top 5 or top 6 or anything. So you've got Brennan Horn with the 1.8 lead, and there is Polycui Grant just now with a lot more customized bodywear coming in through the chase. This is not really turning into his night. Lots of chaos going on there as we flash back to the lead of the overall. Kevin Ford now pressuring Scott Banks for that overall lead as they head up the mountain going around the cutting. Ford looking very racy here tonight.
And Larry, I just got a note from Eric Violette. He's sitting in the green room that if we need some commentary help, he is there. He's there ready to go.
Well, let's catch a replay on this.
Before we bring him in.
There's Violette now in the middle of this. Rutledge in front of him. The 68 of Jenkins behind them as they come down, and that's just lost it on its own.
Yes.
And unfortunately, Tom Jenkins
and you can see, and as Santinelli went off, it was as the rest of the field was checking up to try and avoid Violette's machine there. And
so let's take a look at the Mazda battle then. So this is Schwenke, who was sitting in second, as he now has Lombardi, who just lost it next to him, synchronized losing it, as that takes out Schwenke, and you saw Polycui Grant losing it there behind him. All of them just like checked up in these cars. We know they're notoriously loose. Chuck Labano was selling us how this thing tries to kill him, and I think right there, Ray Lombardi, it just took him out, and as well as Polycui Grant. Wow, what a crazy opening lap.
And everything that we didn't get in the opening lap of the first race, Larry, we get here in race 2 is Kevin Ford now moving drivers right, and he's trying to make the move on Scott Banks. Scott Banks, our round number 8 winner at VIR. He's now going to fall back in the second position as Kevin Ford is your new leader. Good move by Ford.
And then right behind him, Joey Rutledge isn't going anywhere. Rutledge now is right back in this behind Banks, as all three of them are going to go right here through Murray's Corner together. Great move for Ford. Use the draft, get alongside, maximize your exit speed coming out of the chase, and that's your new leader. We'll see how long it lasts, because we know Rutledge maybe learned a few things following in line with Eric Violette in the first race. We know Kevin Ford picked up some good pace there. This was Ford going wide. This is going to hurt.
Ford's into the wall.
Oh, no, not Rutledge.
And Kevin Ford takes out, ends up impacting Joey Rutledge, and both of those drivers now.
And here comes Bobby.
Oh, my gosh.
Bobby going to get through cleanly? Oh,
my.
What an unfortunate turn of events here. We're talking about the battle and the great move for Kevin Ford to take that lead. He goes and loses it, runs wide, and takes Joey Rutledge out with him.
And so Rutledge is trying to rejoin. He is back on course.
Yeah. Kevin Ford, I believe, took to the pits instead.
Yeah. All right, and the 84 machine has now been assessed a penalty.
As Jeff Jacobs, Marlon Jones are in the pits. The 84, that's Ray Lombardi. For his involvement at the top of the hill there, coming around past the dipper. Robert Brist, I think, has been in and now out of the pits. Brad Husty's in the pits. So active night here in round 2 for the evening. But look at this. This should be the lead in the Mazdas. That is Ken Copeland.
As Copeland now gets around Brennan Horn. So Horn, who had at one point almost a 2-second advantage after that incident involving Travis Schwenke. And obviously, that advantage had disappeared. He now finds himself in second position, and Robert Hartley, now our winner from race 1, is sitting and lurking right behind the Team Esport racer Ken Copeland and the D2D racer Brennan Horn.
This turn of events may have actually helped Ken Copeland. Remember, we were talking about him as the missing out of the transfer spot. He was in a good position for it, and right at the end, his teammate Ray Lombardi clipped him, and Lombardi ends up starting the next race on pole. Well, here's Bobby spinning. Lombardi ends up spinning, taking others out with him, and it turns out that's great for Copeland because he wasn't involved in it. He's able to make his way on by cleanly, and now he leads this race. So great recovery for Copeland. There's Jordy Fike, who was earlier in a really good battle as well. Fike now is back in 5th, just behind the 64 of Peyton, and just ahead of your AM leader, Jeff Cranston.
Yeah, and if we getting very loose. Is that the number 60 machine of? It's a 64 of Peyton, as he's got Jordy Fike. This is the battle for fourth right now in Street Tuner Pro.
Yep, and then right behind them should be Chris Thorman, who's David Payton's teammate, not too far back. You can see him in the back of the shop there. As these guys are all running. This is the fourth, fifth, and sixth in pro, as well as the lead in AM with Cranston in the middle of this. And I can just see a Chris Thorman also going to be a part of this in no time.
Yeah, he's coming right up to the back of it also. And meanwhile, here we go. This is the battle for the lead in pro. Just ahead of that fight we were just watching with Copeland, Horn, and Robert Hartley coming out of Murray's Corner onto the main straight. And Horn, he's going to take a look to the inside. He made this pass work earlier in the evening in race one, and he's going to slot in underneath Ken Copeland and for the moment going to take the lead, but I think Hartley probably got the best run out of it.
I think we're going to get a 3 wide here in a minute. It's Hartley got a really good run, the third in this train. There goes Copeland popping out to the inside. Let's see if going to the other side is going to be Hartley. Yes, he is, I think. Nope, he's going to be patient this time. Remember, we watched Copeland and Brennan Horan battle it out for almost that entire first race, while Hartley was battling it out with a different group. Hartley now comes in as a bit of a stranger to these front three, but we know he's normally the fastest one of the guys in a Mazda. Let's see how he does with these two new guys that he's got to go and play with. While we got a good shot there at Chuck Lovano, currently running in second in AM, and I believe in 8th overall in the Mazdas. By the way, Thorman has moved up 14 spots in this race. That includes the Toyotas that have fallen in behind him and all, but that's a really great start here for that D2D driver. But out in the front, the other D2D driver, Brennan Horn, is in the battle of his life again with Ken Copeland. It's like things just picked up right where they left off.
Right where they left off 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. How much patience does Rob Hartley have for these guys?
Now, you know, that whole discretion being the better part of valor, I think he looked to the inside going up to Griffin's Larry and recognized that his right tires would probably be, if not on the grass, barely off of the grass going up there. And, you know, better for him to drop back behind and wait it out a little bit. But he doesn't seem, he didn't get as good a drive out of the forced elbow this time around. And you can see even with the draft sitting about a half a car length back from our lead pair. Let's see if he tries to move to the inside as they come up to the chase. No, he's going to stay where he is.
Well, I think for Hartley, he's got to be dangerous. His patience might mean if he thinks he's faster than the group in front of him, but he's waiting, he may be allowing that group led by Jordy Fike to get back into this. They're only 3 seconds back with Fike, Peyton, Thorman, and Cranston. And so if those guys can put together a good lap and they're doing some leapfrogging, that's good for them. They might be able to catch up to the front three. Meanwhile, over here in the Toyotas, that's Leo Dragota, Bobby Childs in that little battle. And I think that's Joey Rutledge right in front of them. We saw him earlier, obviously, with the incident with Kevin Ford. He is slotted in right in the middle of this. He's 5th in the pro, and he's, 5th in the AM, and 7th in the overall in the GR86s.
Let's take a look, as I think we just had one of the Dragotas, and this is 118 car. This is Leo, who's had some issues over by the chase all night long. Larry
is that dirt again? Is that the dirt that we had seen get caught in the same spot earlier in the first race?
Yes.
So yeah, you got to watch this track edge. You start to break under dirt on the dirt there, and you find out the dirt doesn't have the same grip as asphalt.
No, and he's had and a little brush of the wall there for Tom Jenkins, the midfield motorsports driver, as he is working to hold off the number 95 of Ruddick. And, you know, Larry, we haven't even seen in the shot, and I know you can't easily bring it up on our timing and scoring there on the timing tower on the left-hand side because of the two different classes. But Scott Banks now with over a 3.5-second advantage over Tom Jenkins has really stretched things out. It's got to be a little lonely for him up there. Yes.
But Jenkins definitely knows this battle, because in the first race, he and Ruddock had their own little battle as well that ended up leaving Jenkins 6th on the grid. So he would like to hold this position, currently leading in this AM category and keeping his rival Ruddock behind him. Probably not too worried about Scott Banks. He's going to go ahead and let Scott Banks do his thing out in front. He's worried about Russ Ruddock right behind him.
There you go. Director Lee, he took it as a challenge when I talked about what the timing tower was showing. And so there you go. He's showing the gap now. It's actually, I think, close to 4 seconds from Banks back to Tom Jenkins there as he's put the graphic up on the lower right-hand side. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Lee.
As Jenkins
we all
runs
know I
wide
can't
into
do
Kevin.
math in my head.
Jenkins almost pulling a Kevin Ford there at turn 1, running a bit wide to be able to keep it back on the track. But you gotta really watch it. You don't want to go and end up out there four-wheeling because you might just hook to the inside. This is Bobby Childs, and I believe that's Joy Rutledge he's in the battle with right now.
No, that was Leo Dragata.
It is.
That was Dragata in the 118 machine, who I think was trying to be extra careful there going into the final corner. As
and there's something happening back at Murray's corner.
Yes, going around. Is that the 64 machine of David Payton going around at Murray's?
Oh, and he was having a pretty good run there with those guys. He looks like he's going to be out of this. The question is, did he take anybody down with him? We'll have to wait and see. But leaving Copeland and, of course, Brennan Horan with Rob Hartley still being the patient one there.
Yeah, he takes a little look to the inside, slots back behind the 44.
Yeah, they're just managing their gap to Fike and Cranston behind them.
You know, and Larry, as we saw, they are starting to come up onto the back of that the trio of Toyotas ahead.
Well, if that happens, they get held up at all. Jordy Fike might be getting a bit of a Christmas present early and maybe be able to catch up to these guys. But Fike's going to have to really lay down a good one and hope these guys catch a bit of traffic in the wrong place.
As we're just about halfway through round number 10, our second race of 2 here tonight from Bathurst. And Larry, it almost seems somewhat calm and sedate here at this point of the race after all the action we had on lap number 1.
Calm before the storm here at the halfway point of this round. I suspect it's going to heat back up here very, very soon as these Mazdas catch the back of the Toyotas. Probably in maybe somewhere even down near the chase, but we'll wait and see. And Hartley at some point is going to have to get aggressive. He's going to want to win this race because the longer he lets these guys hang around, the better the chances they have to win it. No one being aggressive. Look at this. Even Brennan Horn, earlier in the race with Copeland in the first round tonight, was being very aggressive. And here, no such aggression. He's just going to back off and let things lie where they are.
And so Hartley came into tonight, Larry, 18 points down from Pilot Grant. And obviously Grant had the 3rd place finish, so he gave up a couple of points to Hartley in the first round. But obviously here with Grant and I think Grant out of the race at this point in race number 2, good chance here for Hartley to make a points haul, and it may come down to the final race of the season.
Well, these guys are having a heck of a battle here between Jenkins and Ruddock, as it looks like Ruddock's going to get the advantage this time as they go up the mountain. See if Jenkins can get him back later in the lap, but that's a good move there as they head on.
Yeah, and of course this is, that is the battle in class in Club Sport AM. And now we're starting to see Ken Copeland. Maybe he feels that something's a little different as he gets a little defensive. And Hartley now making a move on the 45 car. Brennan Horan gets around him as they come out of Griffin's Bend and go up to the cutting. So Hartley now in the number 3. He is your new 2nd place runner.
Yep, Hartley saw an opportunity and he decided to pounce. It was time. Now Brennan Horan slots in behind. Hartley now has to get his sights on Copeland. Copeland needs to do probably little to no mirror watching and a whole lot of hitting his marks out in front and just see what happens. He might get a little bit lucky. He's got the 118 at Jagoda there on the track in front of him. Maybe he can get a bit of draft from behind him and hold off Hartley for at least another lap.
Copeland tags the wall coming down the hill. He's now going to fall back into third. That's going to move Robert Hartley up into the lead, and Horn maintains that second, moves back up into second, and now Brennan Horn hits the wall.
Yeah, that's a famous wall to hit. Hard not to. But Copeland, talk about mixing things up. I told you, he just needed to hit his marks coming down the hill, and the first time down that dipper in the lead, he taps that and runs a little bit wide. Luckily for him, doesn't appear to have any damage. Let's see how aggressive things are. We talked about how things were calm for a while with Hartley sitting in third and Copeland in the lead. Now they're all inverted. These two especially, Horn and Copeland, might be back into a battle swapping positions. Ooh, Jagoda running a little bit loose there through the chase. Brennan Horn's going to need to get him by.
And looks like Leo Jagoda, he's going to let these three drivers, going to let this fight go by. He doesn't have anything in that battle as they come out of the final corner. But Horn does lose a little bit of ground to Hartley in that exchange with Dragoda.
Keeping an eye on Jordy Fike back there, who may have just taken about a second or two out of these guys with a bit of a sloppy driving going on there. And so you'll see him pop around turn one. He's there. He can see them. He keeps hoping that they'll continue to do these little bit of battles and give himself a chance.
And exactly, he took about a second and a half out of this lead pack.
And there goes Copeland trying to go to the inside of Brennan Horn, and he does. Horn's smart, lets him on by so they don't lose Hartley. That's smart driving. The race has got 11 more minutes. There's no need to worry about who's in second versus third right now. When there's 2 laps to go, you want to get to second. Right now, it's fine. Third's a great place to be. That run that Hartley makes, though, going up that hill, so quick around that left-hander.
Yeah, and you can see he's starting to open up a bit of a gap. Whether he can maintain that as they come down the back half of the course, I don't know. But
well, this is where you can get a draft going up this hill. The draft is big; it can pull you up, and you can see. Watch the deltas. It was up near 7/10. Now it's down to 5/10. Here they are coming across Skyline, and again right back under a half a second. So this, though, Hartley, if he can nail this one time through the dipper and pull a gap, he might be able to put some daylight between he and these guys. Copeland does a great job, though, to get through there efficiently. No such luck for Hartley. He's going to have these guys chasing him down at least this lap.
And Brennan took a little bit more wall there. He saw the cloud of dust of concrete up in the air, and he's lost a little bit more ground now to Copeland ahead as we jump back over Russ Ruddick. And wow, look at this, is Tom Jenkins now with I guess that's Rathke, who's currently running second in pro, 4th overall here.
Yeah,
but,
Jenkins
Ruddick
appears to have some damage. In fact, my sim even looks like he's got a bit of damage to his right front to where it's not even pointing straight. Jenkins was in that locked battle with Russ Ruddick. That appears to be over as Ruddick's 4.5 seconds ahead of these guys. Rathke is going to go ahead and get on by Jenkins. Not for class position, but for track position, and make his way up the hill with what looks like a much cleaner, fresher car.
And there you go as he gets it done. Yeah, you can see that over at the right front, even not so much on the nose, but just back towards the fender. Like there's a pretty hard clout there, and likely has toe thrown out considerably. Let's move just back behind there, and this is in the blue and white, number 78. This is John Casey, currently running 4th in AM with Joey Rutledge in the 44 car. Rutledge again a part of that turn, I guess turn 1 lap 2 incident after he had been running up at the front of the field, and he now finds himself 4th in AM.
Yep, and I believe it's Kevin Ford a lap or 2 down there, just kind of with this pack, but Joey trying to make up ground, currently 4th in this AM class, 6 seconds behind Paul Carey for 3rd. It's going to be tough to overcome that. Bobby, also on a bit of his own bit of recovery drive here, 3rd in pro. Yep. So trying to follow Rutledge around, and this group with Copeland around Horn still. Horn not able to get by yet. Oh, bit of a wiggle there. Did you see that as they gutted a braking for Copeland? And chasing Kevin Ford down the mountain. So they're going to be off their rhythm. And this was another thing that Eric Violet mentioned in his notes this week. You get behind someone going down the mountain like this, you get out of rhythm. And it kind of ruins your braking points and the visuals, and because it's very much a dance with the car, which may have been what happened to Eric in his own right. Running in a pack, got the car loose. That's what happens here. Hartley able to be very smooth. He's behind Kevin Ford. He's using that Toyota draft, even pulling away a little bit from Copeland and Horan. And still in front of him, there's more cars to get by. So I don't know that he's going to be able to do this. Traffic is going to be huge right now for Copeland and for Horan. They've got to be efficient to stay with Hartley.
Yeah, and we saw Kevin Ford there pull all the way over driver's right as he is a couple of laps down. They used him for the draft, and then he realized his job was done, and he let the whole pack by. But now Robert Hartley puts the Toyota, I think, a Casey between he and Ken Copeland.
Yep. And you can see Copeland doing everything he can to make sure he's past Casey before he gets to turn one. He'd love to get a good, strong exit at turn one. Not bad. But look at this. Hartley's got draft off of Bobby Childs in front of him. So that all this is really helping in each of these little pulls for Hartley. It's kind of landing in his lap as Copeland and Horan have made their way around the Toyotas, but I think they may have just lost draft to Hartley, and that could be a killer.
And Larry, we Eric Violet in the chat, and he agrees with your analysis. That's exactly what happened.
Following somebody down the mountain is so difficult. It gets you out of your rhythm, and you can't really see the same spots or same marks you want to hit. The car gets loose. Well, let's see if Copeland and Horan here can continue to move up in front of them. Maybe their last chance here is Hartley has Bobby Childs and Joey Rutledge in front of him. Maybe they'll hold up a little bit through some of these sections. Otherwise, Hartley may be on his way to a checking out if those two move over and let him by. I don't think they're moving anywhere. Joey Rutledge looks like he wants to just pull away from Bobby. I don't think Bobby has mirrors in his car.
Should we ask Eric that? This could definitely be a problem for Hartley, and you can see now, Larry, that both Copeland and Horan are once again starting to close things back up on the number 3 machine as Hartley's there stuck behind Bobby.
They needed to run the elbow very well. They needed to get out of there efficiently. And look at it, already moving over to catch some Bobby draft if they can. This is going to be tough. Hartley, with 4.5 minutes to go, continues to work traffic like magic, just dropping past 1 and 2 and 3 of these Toyotas to keep traffic between he and Copeland and Horan, and he's just working it like a master. It's beautiful to watch.
All right, as we have 4 minutes remaining, and so Larry, they're going to cross the stripe here and start what should be the penultimate lap here. Starting at lap number 11, or probably starting lap number 10. Sorry.
All right, well, Hartley didn't quite get by Rutledge, but the end of the straightaway is where this Toyota power really comes on, and we'll see if he just stays in behind him. But he would love to get by before they get down to Griffin's Bend and start to climb, because that's where the miles is a little quicker, is once you get up that mountain. And look, he's got it.
And you know that Bobby is going to end up using Hartley's draft because he wants to find a way through, way around, even though it's not for class. Bobby, being in the Club Sport Pro class, would want to find a way around Joey Rutledge, but
Bobby does not want to yield, does not want to let Copeland through, and it's got to be driving Ken crazy. Bobby's got a right to that position. Technically, they're all in, this is not blue flag situations, even though they're in different classes.
No. But he did find a way to let his teammate Brennan Horn through.
and meanwhile, Copeland also goes through. But now both Copeland and Horn have got to get around Joey Rutledge, because the other side of him, there's Hartley. But we know how slow the Toyotas are in some of these spots going up and down the mountain. Look at this. Look at Yep, Copeland, and actually it's Horan now, impatient, knows he cannot wait for Joey Rutledge. He's got to make the move, and he does.
And Copeland almost gets into the back of Joey Rutledge as they start to make the run down the mountain there. And big checkup from Copeland, and you can see it at the apexes here, Larry, where definitely you talk about being thrown out of a rhythm. Ken Copeland having to check up, I think, quite a bit more than he's used to here at the apex for many of these corners as they come out of Forrest's elbow and start to make the run down the straight.
Brennan Horn is just at the point where he can smell a little bit of draft, and they're going to see white flag next time by.
Yes, they are.
He needs all that draft because Scott Banks, your race leader, just took that white flag as he's going to start his final lap around turn 1. One more time up and down the mountain. Hartley heading up into the chase. See what that gap is to Horn. It's under 9/10. Hartley was very good coming out of that apex.
I mean, he got aggressive. He made the move when he needed to make it, and he's within sniffing distance of that draft. He might get a little bit more as they start to head back up the hill. As we watch this battle with Tom Rathke and Russ Ruddick, and Rathke currently running second. And second in pro. Russ Ruddick, he is your leader in Club Sport AM. And I don't know if I was Russ Ruddick at this point. Oh, I was going to say, if I'm Russ Ruddick, I'd let Rathke go. And they're going to end up both getting together, coming through Griffin's Bend. Oh, and Rathke, who had a second place there, all but wrapped up. We'll see if Ruddick can continue to keep that car moving. He's got a huge advantage, almost 15 seconds on Paul Carey. I don't think Carey's going to be able to make that up, but Ruddick's likely going to have to limp that car home after getting a huge bang on the nose from Tom Rathke's car.
That was just unfortunate. You were just saying that Ruddick would just love to let him on by, and then Ruddick gets tangled in it when Rathke goes and loses it, but it's racing. Meanwhile, Copeland and Horn are back together again for one final show, and here they are up and down the mountain one last time together. This time we see who is it going to be. These two have been together all night long, pretty much the entire round 1 tonight and through round 2. Looks like Hartley has finally got enough gap. He doesn't have to worry about these guys. Look at this aggression. He's just trying
Copeland takes a quick look to the inside, all the while jilted lover Robert Hartley scooting away, Larry.
Yeah, then right for Copeland, there's no need, unless you think you can win this race, there's no need because you can easily finish second because you're going to have the draft coming off of this corner right here in the Forest elbow as they head down the Conrad Straight. Look at this draft he's going to get. Meanwhile, Scott Banks, one last time, is going to come into the final corner, Murray's corner, and he's going to see nothing but checkered flag in front of him.
There you go. And taking the win tonight in Club Sport Pro for round number 10 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, Scott Banks. Now let's jump back to the battle for the win in Street Tuner Pro as Robert Hartley now gets around some of the Toyota traffic and has separated himself out from new second place runner Ken Copeland, who's gotten around Brennan Horan. And as they close things down, coming through the chase, making the run down into the final corner, into Murray's corner, well, Russ Ruddick, he does manage to hold on. Ruddick's going to take the win in Club Sport Pro. And Robert Hartley, what a run for him from third, takes the lead, takes the win, 2 wins tonight, wins rounds 9 and 10 in Street Tuner Pro here in the Touring Car Cup, finishing in second. We've got somebody who's going around in the final corner, multiple cars. John, and I think John Casey and Paul Carey possibly.
Yep.
That had gone around there on the final lap on the final corner. So let's run it down here. So Hartley, Copeland, Horan, that is your podium in Street Tuner Pro. In Street Tuner Am, Jeff Cranston comes across the line. Still waiting for the rest of the Am field to cross there for the rest of the Toyotas.
The stewards may have something to say about this finishing order as the last lap got a little bit hectic. So we'll see what they have to say about if there's going to be any changes. But I tell you what a great race for Scott Banks. to be able to not have a great qualifying in the first round, just do enough to be in it in the second race, and then go on and pull away and win it. He needed that win. Good job for him. And in the Mazda race, in the pro side of it, beautiful work there for Rob Hartley to work his way through the traffic, just methodically through that traffic, picking them apart and making sure there's always a car between he and his rivals. Great job. And what a battle tonight, though, for the rest of the field there behind him with Brennan Horn and Ken Copeland. That was so much fun to watch.
All right, Lee, can we throw up the finishing order on the screen here, and let's go and run things down as our stewards are taking a look at that final incident. Okay. All right, we'll wait till the rest of our drivers come across the finish line, then we'll throw up the finishing order.
A lot of craziness here tonight, but I do believe that it was Jeff Cranston taking the win in the Mazdas in the AM category, but this looks like the results of our Club Sport Pro in our Toyotas.
That's right, and Bobby Childs works his way to a podium finish, finishing in second. Tom Rathke will finish in third, and Larry, those are the only 3 drivers to finish on the lead lap in Club Sport Pro, as Jacobs and the rest of the field finished a minimum of 2 laps down. In Club Sport AM, Russ Ruddick does take the win over Joey Rutledge. He's able to limp that car home. Margin of victory 14 seconds. John Casey comes home in third for Frito Sport. Great run for him. And then there's Paul Carey, but again, that last corner incident under review between Carey and Casey. Leo Dragato finishing in 5th. So let's move over to Street Tuner, the Mazda MX-5s, and taking the win in Street Tuner Pro, Robert Hartley with Ken Copeland and Brennan Horn with Fike and Mack, the 2 Team Esport Racer drivers, finishing 4th and 5th. And in AM, it is on the top step of the podium, Jeff Cranston with Ray Lombardi finishing in 2nd, and Robert Brist coming home in 3rd. All right, so Larry, let's take a quick little break, and when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here at Bathurst, where you've just seen rounds 9 and 10 of season number 23 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by Proforma Elite. We shall be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Mount Panorama here at Bathurst, where you've just seen rounds number 9 and 10 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, let's quickly take a look at this incident between Paul Carey and John Casey going in the final corner.
It's Casey there in the 78 on the inside. Might have been a bit aggressive. 141 to carry might have been, there wasn't quite room when he's turned in. The old, just kind of late brakes, turn in, and hope you're going to be left room, and there just wasn't, unfortunately. We'll see what the stewards have to say about it.
Yeah, all right. So we just wanted to get that to you. Let's go and recap the finish here. We'll take a look at and break things down once again, and then we'll bring in some of our podium finishers. Taking the win in Club Sport Pro, Scott Banks with Bobby Childs finishing in second, and then in Club Sport Am, Russ Ruddick with Joey Rutledge finishing second in Street Tuner, our Mazdas. In pros, Robert Hartley with Ken Copeland finishing second, and then finally in Street Tuner Am, we then had it was Jeff Cranston, your winner, with Ray Lombardi finishing in second. All right, let's go to the green room, Larry, and start yanking people out here. And best that we get him out of the way early, because I don't want to have him here late. Let's bring in Bobby Childs, driver of the number 88 D2D Racing Toyota, finishing second tonight in Club Sport Pro.
Bobby Childs, it's been a while since we've heard from you, but welcome back to the post-race interview booth. You got yourself a podium here in the second race tonight after a whole lot of ups and a whole lot of downs. Crazy night. Tell me about it.
Well, as you guys like to say a lot in the broadcast, it was Bobby doing Bobby things, and you guys been talking a lot of smack, so I figured I'd finish real good tonight so I could come in and, rough you up a little bit.
Yeah, we've been pretty rough on you, but tonight, I'll take it back. Tonight, you end up here on the podium.
Hey, and Larry, let's not forget that Stubby has been rough on him as well.
Well, Stubby gets to be rough, man. He's got the pom-poms and the cheerleader outfit,
But we had heard you put a lot of time into this track this week, a ton of time in practice. Is that what paid off for you, especially here in the second race? Got into that rhythm and able to bring it home?
Well, it was such a combination of things. It was the practice, but it's also my teammates, Eric and Palakui. They've been working with me a lot to help me just improve as a driver, period. And Eric put together a fantastic setup for this week, and I just had to learn how to drive it. And he took me around, he showed me what I was doing wrong, and some of it I kept doing wrong because it's ingrained in me. I've been driving the track wrong for quite a long time. But man, those guys, my teammates at D2D, man, I can't say enough about.
Yeah, they helped you get here, but it looks like they had their own rough, especially race two here tonight for those guys. Eric had a great first race. Holly Kui had a podium first race. Man, those second races, this place will bite you if you're not careful. But for you, able to come home with this podium, and I tell you, this D2D team, you guys have your ups, but you have your downs, and for you tonight, it's enough.
Oh yeah, man, I'm real happy about that. Actually, over the weekend, I did some work with a new endurance team in the IMSA series, and finally had a stint in the GTP where I didn't die. So maybe good things are coming in World Challenge as well.
Well, we'll see what that plays out next week. But this week, got some podium here in round 2, or I guess it's round 9 or so of the series here. But Bobby, congrats on that, and maybe we'll get to talk to you next week in the World Challenge.
Sure thing, man. And real quick, I'd like to send a shout out to Big Bill's House of God and Taxidermy in Phoenix City, Alabama. Led by Reverend and expert animal stuffer Big Bill Baba Ganoush. Get your 12-point mounted while you learn about the 12 disciples. That's Big Bill's House of God and Taxidermy on County Road 41 in lovely Phoenix City, Alabama.
Thanks, Bobby.
All right, there you go, everybody. Bobby Childs from D2D E-Racing, and there you go. Go get your stuffed animals while you get a chance. And I thought his stuffed animal would be like a teddy bear or something. Anyway, all right, let's bring in our winner in Club Sport Pro here tonight in race number 2, and that is Scotty Banks from Team Volta.
All right, Scotty Banks, tonight, maybe tell me a little bit about your qualifying, because you kind of started this first race here tonight down the order a little bit, but you stayed with it and kept kind of holding that position and moving up. Was it just not the great qualifying? Because you certainly finished on the high, but started a little bit behind a bit.
I think it just took me until about the last 10 laps to get comfortable. I completely changed everything about the setup about 4 different times and never actually figured anything out. And then I don't know if you were watching me when I was qualifying, but I pounded the wall and then got an off track on my 4th lap, and so that was the best I could do. And in the first race, I just was not fast enough to really stay up there with those guys, and I think the only reason this ended up happening, I'll take the win, but I think it was just that I made fewer mistakes than everybody else, and that's it. So I'll take it.
Yeah, sometimes in motorsports, that's exactly what it is. Though he who makes fewest mistakes is going to end up on top. And because what do they say? Something about first finish to finish first, something in that order.
Right.
But for you, you had the win, of course, at VIR a couple weeks back. Come back with one of the wins here in the second race tonight. You starting to get into a rhythm with this car?
Yeah, finally starting to feel more comfortable at some of these tracks that I kind of avoid. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of this track, so I just try to not race here. So this was a big challenge. I'm glad it was towards the end of the season to get more comfortable racing with all these guys and just more time in this car. And I'm really looking forward to Daytona.
Yeah, it's going to be a hoot as we head down there. But tonight you get to savor this one. As we kind of figured, some people love Bathurst, some not so much. Sounds like you're on the not so much camp, but that's all right because you still get to stand on the top step of the podium here in this round. In this second round here tonight. So congrats on that. Is there anybody from your team, anybody else that helped you want to give a shout out to?
Really, I want to thank Eric because in practice he gave me a few pointers. I took a few things that I watched him doing when he was like 2 seconds faster than me and figured it out in that last like 5 laps before we got to qualifying, and clearly it helped. So I know he had a rough race too there, but big shout out to Eric there for helping me out.
Well, awesome. It's a great group of camaraderie and great group of guys here in this league. And, Eric's obviously one of them, yourself as well. Awesome job tonight, Scott, taking that victory here in the Club Sport Pro.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Scotty Banks, your winner tonight in Club Sport Pro for race number 2, driver the number 7, Team Volta Toyota. All right, Larry, let's move over now to Street Tuner Pro, where we're going to bring in our second place finisher driving the number 15 Team Esport Racer Mazda Miata. It's Ken Copeland.
All right, Ken Copeland joining us tonight. And Ken, my gosh, you had some great battles tonight. You and Brennan Horn were just together lockstep both races, but you end up just ahead of him here in the second round tonight. How are you feeling after this one? That's got to wear you out, but it looked awesome.
In one word, I would say lucky. I learned Bathurst in the practice race, or the practice sessions, I should say, practice races for this series. So this was my first race here, period, on iRacing. So I didn't really know how it was going to go, and I was trying to kind of play it safe. Brennan had really good pace all race, and he was putting a ton of pressure on me. I mean, bump drafts in places I was not looking forward to getting bump drafts, but otherwise he put up a really good fight. His teammates did the same thing, and everybody all night was really, really good. So I just feel really lucky, to say the least.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch the first race between the four of you and your couple of teammates, as well as Brennan, just having an awesome battle. All of a sudden, the second race, the chaos finally settles down, and it's you and Brennan and Rob. And what was it like trying to chase down? Because once Rob gets by you, he seemed like he was doing a great job of putting cars between you guys and himself. How hard are you trying to make sure you get around those guys to not let Rob run away with this thing?
It really depends. Like, you have to remember that those guys have their race. So it's one of those, Hartley's a tough guy to fight when I get next to him. I can do it on a track I know. On something like Bathurst, I want to stay in his draft. So my goal was just to basically try and stay about a second and a half behind at least. You know, if he makes a mistake, maybe I've got a chance to pass him. If he doesn't, at least he's keeping me out in front of Brennan. So more than anything, just trying to be respectful, not banging doors with those guys. The one, I guess, example of me trying to bang doors was when I tried to take Bobby in, I think, turn 2. I forgot what team he races for a second. Was like, why is he fighting me so hard here? And then I saw Brennan go by, and I went, okay, that was my mistake. I'm gonna learn from that one. So put myself in a position, but I got out of it. Harley's a fast guy, so I know he was sitting back there watching us, got kind of bored probably, and said, I'm gonna push forward and see what happens before we catch this traffic. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like an absolute blast tonight. Great racing from you and all the guys here from the esport, as well as your competitors you're up against. But for you, able to take a good solid podium here. Anybody you want to give a special thanks to tonight?
Yeah, everybody for the most part, like all the viewers, any of y'all out there actually hitting up the chat. Obviously, you guys, you put on a great broadcast week to week, so thank you so much for that. All the admins from XMS, they do a wonderful job. And again, all of the other racers on track, like I said, tonight, Bathurst, tough track, a lot of carnage out there, but everybody was really respectful, so it was good racing. So thank you for that.
Well, awesome job tonight, Ken. Taking home a second spot in the second race tonight, and some great fighting all around. It was a lot of fun to watch. Good job tonight.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Ken Cope, driver of the number 15 the number 15 team esport racer Mazda Miata, Mazda MX-5, finishing second tonight in Street Tuner Pro. Let's move over to Street Tuner Am now, Larry, and where finishing second tonight, Ken's teammate, driver the number 84 Mazda Miata, it is Ray Lombardi.
All right, Ray Lombardi, what a lot of fun to watch tonight. That first race, you were caught up with a couple other guys. You know, as the race went on, I wasn't sure if you're going to be able to get up there to that transfer spot. You got yourself on the pole. Just going back to that first race, was that an objective as you're winding down those 30 minutes to try and get to that fourth or fifth spot?
No, actually not. I figured I could have taken Brennan. I just wanted the well, not the win, but the extra points for the championship. But I just couldn't get him in the end. Like, at the beginning of the race, he seemed a bit slow, especially in the first couple sections. But at the end, he kept picking up the pace and passing, well, basically my entire team every lap in the draft. So we were trying to team sandwich him basically, but it just didn't work out. So props to him for pulling that out. In the second race, I didn't one pull at all, and maybe you saw why I didn't fare well from that spot. But yeah, I was happy to be able to finish the race at all the second time. So I was a bit lucky. Like 15 cars didn't plow into me there.
Yeah, that was a lot of tough luck in a lot of places here tonight. You were involved a little bit with that, but your car seemed durable otherwise, because even in that first race, you definitely had some big impacts that you continued to roll through, and it was pretty impressive. But, able to take home some wins and podiums here in the SAM category has got to make you feel pretty good as the season rolls on.
Yeah, I need it. Like, I have a couple of drop weeks, and if I want to become the champion, I need to basically win everything now. Otherwise, Cranston's going to take it for me. So I have to work hard in the last race to get it, but I'm pretty happy with the overall result considering everything. Yeah.
Awesome job. Another one of the victories here tonight in one of the rounds. So congrats on that. Anybody you want to thank for that tonight?
Yeah, well, thank you guys, obviously, for pulling me in here. Thank you for Greg Mack, who gallantly gave me a spot at the end of the second race. And also the president of Brazil is this time the one I would like to thank for his existence.
All right, we'll pass
just
that
simply
along
for his existence.
Will he pass along for me? Yeah.
Suddenly, I don't have such a high bar to cross. All right.
All right, so Ray Lombardi, congrats on your finishes here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Larry, let's move over now. Gonna jump to now our let's come over, because I kind of skipped them after we talked to Ken Copeland. Let's talk to well, actually, we'll wait for a few moments. Let's go over and talk to Russ Ruddick. He was your winner tonight in race number 2, driver the number 95 Flying Tortoise Motorsports Club Sport Am Toyota.
All right, so Russ, a crazy up and down kind of night tonight. I just want to talk a little bit about that last lap of that last race, as it looked like you were kind of maybe going to let Tom on by, and suddenly he's sort of across the track in front of you.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what was going through your mind.
Well, I saw him coming, and I figured he had more pace, and he's in pro and I'm in An, so it wasn't really my battle, so to speak. I was just going to let him go. But yeah, he hit the wall, came across, and I tried to stop. Fortunately, the car was damaged, but I was able to get it back around the track. So, and I had enough of a lead over next place. So.
Yeah, and you built that lead because you had really strong pace in second race. There's a lot of activity going around, and up to that point, you kept yourself very clean. Is that the trick around this place? Just keep your nose clean, keep the car clean, and put yourself on the podium?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my flying tortoise way. It's just slow and steady. I'm never the fastest driver. These guys got incredible pace, especially like Eric Violet. I mean, those guys, I don't know how they do it. So I spent a lot of time practicing with my teammate Kevin in traffic, trying to be consistent, lap after lap, hitting my marks and just making sure that I didn't make mistakes.
Yeah, well, tonight that's a strategy played out perfectly for you, and it got you a win tonight in the AM category here in Club Sport. And do you want to give any special thanks, a shout out to your Flying Tortoise teammates?
Absolutely. Kevin's been fantastic helping me practice and everything. And of course, I want to thank you guys for the great broadcast you do. It's always fun to watch afterwards.
Well, tonight will be a fun one to watch too, as well, and you'll even get to see yourself finishing up there for that victory here in the AM category. So, Russ, congrats and savor this one.
All right, thanks.
All right, everybody, that was Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise Motorsports taking the win tonight in our second race in Club Sport AM. All right, so Larry, that leaves one more person just sitting patiently waiting in the green room for us. He is our only 2-race winner here tonight. Driver of the number 3 Orion Racing Mazda Miata, taking the win in Street Tuner Pro. It's Robert Hartley.
All right, Rob Hartley, I'm going to guess the answer to this one, but does it ever get old racing these Mazdas?
Oh, never, especially at this track. Man, it's been a while since I've been able to talk to y'all guys.
Yeah, it has been a while. You've had some rough luck in a lot of races, but tonight, great driving. You know, the battle you had in that opening race, you and Polyquid Grant, and of course, your teammate Schwenke was in there. You guys had awesome battles. The second race just goes complete chaos off the start. Oh. You managed to get through it, but then you get that strong battle from the guys there, you know, with Brennan Horan, and of course with the rest of the team there. It's just a ton of battles. Were you just trying to pick your way through traffic at those points? Did you think you had an advantage on those guys, or is it just a matter of, you know, finding corner to corner to see where your speed was?
I definitely thought I had a little speed advantage this week. I put in a lot of practice, you know, trying to get back to the old me, but yeah, I was aiming for this race to try to get back in the championship. So put in a good bit of practice, was able to make it happen. Yeah, that second race, me and Brennan and Ken, we had it battling, and then we caught the lap traffic and kind of helped me win that one and pull away. It almost cost me there on that last lap, but I was able to just hold them off.
It was pretty wild to watch you go through that traffic. It was like just surgical, the way you could pick apart, get past one of those GR86s, stick them between you and your rivals there with Ken and Brennan. Is that what you're trying to do every corner? Just try to get one more between you and then get to the next one and get him in between you, just to try and make those guys work behind you?
Yeah, when it was just Brennan and Ken up front, I kind of seen them guys ahead of them. I was like, I got to get to the lead before we catch them so I can try to get through that traffic and make it work for me. So that was the game plan, and worked out.
Yeah, it for sure did, and made you the only back-to-back winner here tonight in both rounds at Mount Panorama, which is an awesome feat to do. Very difficult track, and difficult to win both rounds. And I'm peeking at the points here, and I believe you've got the overall points lead.
I'm trying to get back into it, so
yep.
Had this one circled.
Yep, it seems to have done exactly that, as you've leapfrogged right on past by 2 points ahead of Polyquid Grant. And Mike Dam has dropped all the way down to 7th. So you tell Mike he missed a couple of good opportunities to pick up some points, leaving you with now into the lead with a championship run with as we wind the season down. So awesome job tonight. Back-to-back wins is never an easy feat. I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping you tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely got to thank Travis. He puts in a lot of work with the setups, and Mike too. They both do a great job. They have setups ready for us to go every week, so they definitely do a big part of this. And definitely got to thank Kevin Ford, Jeff Jacobs, Bobby, Russ Ruddock. All of them guys do a lot of work behind the scenes. Been doing it forever. Thanks to them guys, and thanks to y'all for putting on the broadcast for us. It's great every week.
Well, we enjoy watching it. It's a great product to display, and hopefully the fans enjoy it as well. Watching your mastery at work there. Rob Hartley taking home victories in both rounds here tonight at Mount Panorama, and now first place in the points. Congrats, brother.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there you go. Robert Hartley from Orion Racing. Larry said, 2-time winner tonight, wins rounds 9 and 10 here at Bathurst. And so, Larry, as we wrap things up, let's quickly take a look at what we've got coming up on the schedule here. And you can see things are definitely winding down. Only one more round, and that is a 60-minute race at Daytona International Speedway. And should be a great road course racing there. That is going to be in 2 weeks, August 14th. But before then, next week, August 7th, it's going to be the final round, the finale of the current season of the Ricmotech World Challenge. Those are GTP and GT3 cars. It's going to be at the National Park of Speed, Road America. And although it doesn't say there Watkins Glen? We need to look at that, Larry. Because I'm showing it.
My flight is booked totally the other tracks. We got to make sure that we get our flights and hotels in order.
Yeah, exactly. I'd hate to be on the wrong side of the country for this. So it's either going to be at Watkins Glen or it's going to be at Road America. It's going to be at one of them. We'll figure it out somewhere along the way.
Let's do both.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do both. But the other thing is, Larry, coming up in 3 weeks, finally, it is back. It is the Ricmotech Sports Car Series for our TCR and GT4 cars, and new this season, the LMP3 Legers as well. And first 60-minute race is going to be held at Virginia International Raceway. That is, again, 3 weeks from now, August 21st. All these races, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Lee Thompson back behind the scenes, I'm Greg Ginsberg. We'll see you next Monday night from, Road America or Watkins Glen, one of the two. You'll find out when we get there. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.